Everybody, it is Lawrence again, and today is my first ever, I guess, collab. It's the first time I've actually gotten free product, which is kind of cool, and it's from this company called Xtep, or Step. I actually don't know how to pronounce it. Anyway, it's a Chinese company based in Hong Kong, and they reached out to me via Instagram and asked me if I would do a video on one of their sneakers, and hit my DMs if you're watching this. Jeremy Lin is actually the spokesperson for Xtep Basketball. Xtep Basketball is also introducing his first basketball sneaker for Jeremy Lin, and I believe it's called the J1. I didn't get a chance to get a pair of the J1s, unfortunately. Those are the ones I really wanted to try. But Xtep itself is actually known for more of its running sneakers. If you actually look at the disparity between kind of the sneaker that I have here and how advanced their running sneakers look, it's very apparent in terms of what they're known for. The other thing is that the parent company, Xtep, actually owns a company that I do know really, really well, and I used to love their sneakers, and that was K-Swiss. I remember running around the playground utilizing my K-Swiss for everything from basketball to running to looking fly on a date in middle school. So it's not a completely unknown company, but I would say that they're trying to get traction here, and so here's a review of this sneaker. Just as a FYI, as a disclaimer, I'm not being paid for this. I am going to put links below so you can buy their shoes, and there's also a discount code for 15% off as well. That will be in the description, but overall, I'm not being paid for these shoes. All opinions are my own, and because of that, you will get hopefully as an objective review as possible. Without further ado, this is the Xtep Fearless fashion/basketball sneaker. So what's interesting about this model is it actually reminds me of a very expensive sneaker from Prada called the Cloud Bust Thunder. The Thunder has a crazy midsole and outsole, but the upper looks almost exactly the same as this Xtep, and it's also made with colorful colors and things like that. So from a style perspective, it actually does to me look like a fashion sneaker. If I'm really thinking about kind of the chunky outsoles that are out there across many different types of fashion types brands, this actually looks pretty damn similar to them. Even the color blocking is pretty damn similar. So it's kind of an interesting thing where this honestly relatively cheap sneaker that retails about for $75, $80, it's actually on sale right now for $55, is going for that look of $1,000 plus sneaker. So let's start with a rundown of the Xtep Fearless high top basketball sneaker. So in terms of pricing, it is $74 and, wait for it, 29 cents. A really odd price, but not crazily priced, especially for a basketball sneaker. For sizing, this was really difficult for me because I had some issues with the fit of the sneaker in general. Other people might not have this issue, but I went a half size down because I was told by Xtep and the representative from Xtep that these run a little large, so I went a half size down. Normally I'm a 7.5 in terms of most sneakers. I went down to a 7 with these, and while the length is just a little bit long, as in I probably should have gotten the 7, the toe box, which actually looks pretty big, is actually a lot more constricted than I expected, and when I bent my foot, I actually didn't have enough space for it to bend in the correct place, and so it kind of pinched my foot where kind of the toes meet the rest of the foot. So for me, I probably should have gone either half size up, or this is just not the sneaker for me. But I'd say for most people, if you have regular feet or slightly narrower feet, I would definitely go half size down from your typical shoe to size. When it comes down to style, I give these, oddly enough, I don't give these a low score, despite the fact that it's from a company that is not a well-known name. I think from a pure fashion perspective, comparing these to the Prada Cloud Bust and other types of luxury sneakers, these are actually very in line with that type of design language. So I give these a 6.5 out of 10. I don't think these are terrible looking. There are better colorways in terms of a kind of mutedness if you want them, but it's a really interesting take on the sneaker itself. And there is one thing, you probably can't read this, but you see that kind of metallic area over there? It actually has some writing inside of it, and the writing says, "Pursue breakthroughs in your life, the choice of a new generation." It's an interesting take to be written on the shoe. Only in terms of style, so I give these a 4 out of 10 in terms of comfort. The sneaker itself is actually super light, and it is actually not too bad when you put your foot in any way, shape, or form. It has a pretty soft midsole. and you can squish down pretty easily. My main issue with this, and this could be a me problem, is like I said earlier, when I step into the sneaker, I bend it right here, which is where the toe guard meets the lacing area. And because this is so low on the sneaker, so if this was a little higher, this wouldn't be a problem. But because where the stitching comes together, it's right there, and my toes are like literally right, the end of my toe, or the beginning of my toes right there. I actually bend in the area that's above the toe box, and that doesn't feel great for me, and that's why I don't get major comfort from it. The upper is not bad in terms of support, and I do feel like the synthetic leather is good enough. It's obviously not great, but there is no real leather on this. It is all synthetic. So let's start with the review of the Fearless Xtep high top basketball sneaker. The most predominant material made on the shoe is synthetic leather. There's actually different patternings of it all throughout. So at the very toe area, there's kind of a striated pattern that's over there that you can see. Above that is a synthetic nubuck type of material that is done in a navy. Moving over to the middle of the sneaker on the lateral side, you have more of this synthetic leather with that silver piece that I was talking about earlier. It's metallic, and it does change colors and portrays the colors of the rainbow. There's more elements that are done in kind of a TPU type of material that is done here, as well as the front of the sneaker to give it a little more of a color pop. To the medial side of the sneaker, you have more of that synthetic white leather. Moving to the back, you have more synthetic orange leather, yellow heel tab, as well as a pull tab at the very top, also done in that navy. Moving up to the top of the sneaker, you have rope style lacing, as well as two main kind of color elements here. You have this yellow piece, which is part of the lacing system that has arrows kind of pointing up, and then you have another orange piece on both the lateral and medial sides for the top of the lacing. On the tongue itself, you have a black mesh. Moving up to the black mesh, you have Xtep right in the middle there with some lat long codes. I'm not exactly sure of what. Then at the very top of it, you have a tongue tab that is done in a nylon textile. Finishing off the very top of the sneaker, you have this dotted polka dot pattern done in a black and white, and it is made out of this mesh-like type of material. Now moving over to the midsole, you actually have a very, very thick midsole. It is super, super rigid, I'd say. You know, you can see that like it's not actually that bendable. It feels like one piece. There are no flex grooves, which I think was interesting. So if you go to the bottom of the sneaker, there are no flex grooves. While I know it's important to keep stability for a basketball sneaker, at the end of the day, this would have definitely done really, really well with some flex grooves so that it can bend a little bit further. The other thing of note about this sneaker, and this is not something I've tested myself, I wore the sneaker for a little bit, but you know, I'm definitely not playing basketball in these. I don't play basketball in general, but I'm definitely not playing in a pair of sneakers that doesn't have rubber on the bottom. So what I can tell, based on what I can see here, is that the outsole is actually made out of the same foam that the rest of the midsole is made out of. And so what I can't tell is the durability of this foam, as well as the traction on it if you are going to play basketball in it. So what are my thoughts on the sneaker? You know, I would say that at the $55 price point, if you like the way it looks, and you kind of want to find a luxury sneaker alternative in terms of a look style, I would actually go with this. There's very minimal branding, and there's very little for you to see. I can't really recommend these from a comfort level perspective. I feel like maybe it's just my foot, so you know, it could be that it's better for other people, but I would say that for me, I just wouldn't buy the sneaker in general because of the way it fits my foot. However, I'd say that the sneaker itself is super light. It actually is a lot lighter than it seems. Probably because the synthetic leather is not that heavy, and there is no rubber on this. I definitely wouldn't use it to play basketball, but for the most part, if you guys just want a fashion sneaker, definitely hit the link below. You can also get 15% off with my discount code. And that's it, guys. This is the Xtep Fearless Fashion Basketball Sneaker. Peace.